Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I absolutely appreciate everybody being here. Hope all of you out there are having a great day. So today we're going to do a lead core setup. We're going to be setting up a 10 color lead core reel with mono backer. But this setup can be used any which way that you want. If you want to do 5 color, 2 color, 7 color, 20 color, it's the exact same process. And I'll also show you how to do not only monofilament backer, but also braid backer, and I'll show you all the knots that are going to be necessary to set this thing up. It's not rocket surgery in any way. Anybody out there can do this, but if you're not comfortable, of course you can always come to the shop here. We're happy to set up any custom rod and reel that you want. Copper, lead core, downriggers, divers, you name it, we can do it for you. Otherwise, just stay tuned to this channel. We got a lot of great information on here on how to do most, if not all, of those things. So here we go. So first off, we're going to go over how to figure out how much line, backer, lead core, and leader that you can get on your reel. So I've got, what I have up here is our reel fill calculator. And I don't know where we found this at. I believe at one time there was a copy of this on GreatLakesFisherman.com that you could download. But I think that if you just searched on the internet, you would be able to find this. This is a real handy tool. This is going to give you, you put your rod, I'm sorry, not your rod, your reel capacity up here, what it'll hold. Then you put in down here the line diameters for what you're going to be putting on there as far as your backing, your core, and your leader. And then down here, it's going to tell you how much in yards. It'll give you your backing, your core or your copper. These work for copper as well. Divers, riggers, really you can put anything you want in here. And then your leader as well. So we got this one set up right now. Oh, and another nice feature on this, over here on the right side column, and I don't think you can see this very well. I'm hoping, let me zoom in just a little. But over here on the right side column, you have typical diameter of line for most of the or common lines that you're going to find out there, like Berkeley Big Game, Andy Mono, Opti Copper, and most copper is going to be real similar in diameter as well. This is Magibraid lead core, but I know this also specs out pretty darn close for most of your lead cores. Dacron's over here, Power Pros over here for all the different 20, 30, and 40, 50 pound Power Pro. So this is a real handy tool. But let me zoom back out a little so we can talk about how this is going to work. So first thing you got to do is you got to get your box or your reel. Some reels have this on there as well, and you're going to see what your reel capacity is. This is an Akuma 55L. It tells you what the bearings are, what the gear ratio is, and then it's going to tell you here. This is the important part. It's going to tell you here what your reel capacity is. And this one has 3 different specs on it. But really, the math works out the same no matter which way you do this. I hope this makes sense. Whether you put a 25-pound test on there, it's going to give you 680 yard capacity. 30-pound test is going to give you 520 yard capacity. 40 pounds is going to give you a 440 yard capacity. Obviously, the bigger the line, the less capacity you're going to have. All right, so we understand that. So we're going to spec this out for 30 pound. It doesn't matter how you spec this out on your reel fill calculator, just as long as you use one of these guides right here. I'm going to do it for the 30 pound. So 30 pound will give me 520 yard capacity. Let's go back to the computer. Zoom in a little here. All right. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but right here, your reel data goes in right here. So I got a line capacity in yards, 520 yards. That's what the box told me. And that was 30 pound that it spec'd out for at that 520 yards. If I look over here, 30 pound is 0.022. I put that in right there. So that's now going to give me my, it now knows that reel. So that's why you can do this with any reel out there. If it specs out for something different, at 18 pound or 15 pound and so many yards, it will work for any reel. And I hope that makes sense to everybody. I know it can be a little bit confusing. The first couple times I used this thing, I was like, what the heck? But after a while, I figured it out and started getting it. So we got the reel punched in. It knows what the reel capacity is. Now I have to tell what I'm going to be putting on there for backing. So my backing is going to be 30-pound monofilament. So again, that 30-pound monofilament over here on the right chart. I know you can't see it unless I move this, but we know that 30-pound monofilament on that chart is 0.022 diameter. My lead core, I'm going to be using standard lead core, 10 colors of lead on this thing. Standard lead core, if I go back over and look on my chart, or you can look on the lead core package itself or the monofilament package itself. Any packaging should have your diameter of the line on there. But if I go over here to my chart, my 27-pound lead core is 0.032. I'm going to put that number in right there. So now I know the backing diameter, I know the lead core diameter, and now I have to put in my leader, because obviously I have to have a leader on there also. And I'm going to be putting a 25-pound leader on here. So if I go back over to Berkeley Big Game for my leader, 0.019, I put that in right there. I just really click anywhere on this chart, and it's going to automatically calculate down here at the bottom. Hold on. Let me scroll down. It's going to automatically calculate down here at the bottom what my capacity is now that reel is going to hold. So here's the trick with Okuma. And Daiwas are a little bit different. Pens are a little different, but Okuma is definitely a different animal. Okuma, you never want to go past 90. I stick right in between 85 and 90% full. It's going to give me my full rate right here. So say I want to, this is why I can start just playing around with it. Say I think, okay, I can get 150 yards of backing on there. I click that. It's going to tell me, no, you can put more on there. That's 71.7% full. Okay, I know I got 100 yards of lead core going on, so I know that number's right. I know I got 15 yards of leader going on, so I know that number's right. So this is the number that I got to play with to figure out where I'm going to find my capacity. So I know 150, I can put more on than that. So let's go 200 yards. Click there. It's going to tell me, okay, now I'm 81.3% full. All right, we can put a little more on than that. Move a little here. So let's go 225. It's telling me now I'm 86.1% full. And that's actually, I really like right around 85% to 87%, maybe 88% full on Okumas. Otherwise, you start getting some real overflow problems. So I like that number, 225. Let's see what 235 does. 235 gives me 88% full. It's just a little more than I like. I'm going to go back to 225. I feel safe at 225. That gives me 86.1% full. So now I know I can put 225 yards of 30-pound monofilament on there. I can put 100 yards of lead core on there, and that's my 10-color lead. And I can put 15 yards of leader on that reel, and I'm going to be at 86.1% full. And of course, Daiwa, you can almost go 100% on these things. I like speccing out right around 97 and 98%. I just like playing it a little bit safer. It's not worth going over full and having to go back and take off either. You know, it really sucks to go back and having to take off backer. You never want to lose lead core or copper, so you almost always have to go back and take off backer if you overfill these things. So it's not worth it. It's not worth that extra 10 yards you think you're going to squeak on there. Trust me, play it safe. Always play it a little bit lower than what it's recommending. You will be much, much happier in the long run. But really, that's it. That's the line fill calculator. I now know for this reel, I'm going to put 225 yards of mono, my 10 colors on, and my 15 yards of leader. So let's get doing that. Okay, everybody, here we go. Making a 10-color lead core. I also have my normal camera running, so I'm hoping to get good footage here. Let's try this out. I'm still learning these GoPros, so bear with me, please. All right, so we got our line spec'd out. We know exactly what's going on here. I'll go back over and look at the computer. I know that I'm putting 225 yards of backer on there, that 30-pound 30-pound mono. This is big game, 30-pound. This is high-vis green. So I've been asked this a few times. What's the best backer for long lines, lead core or copper? And honestly, if I could always have my choice, I like running mono. I think I just like the way it handles fish a little bit better. I think it's a little more forgiving, a little stretch. You can put a little more pressure on fish, you know, as far as the mono, because of the mono. But you can't always use mono because copper is a much, much bigger material. So sometimes to get enough backer onto a reel, unless you just get a gigantuan reel, a lot of times you have to use braid. So braid's a little different animal, no stretch, obviously. You have to be a little bit more ginger and gentle with those fish, but it works fine. But if I had my choice, I would always go mono. I have both on the boat. Most of my lead cores are mono. A few of my coppers are braid, but I do like. Ooh, that's a good looking fly right there. That is a good looking. I know what fly that is. That one's not even out yet on the market. I better put that back. Anyway, that's a KRW fly. That is a darn good fly. Let's do this. Let's put this thing together. So how do I tie this thing onto my spool? You know, some guys use the arbor knot. Some guys use other knots. I'm a keep it simple kind of guy. I'm gonna use a double overhand. That's normally what I use. I'll cinch that first one down, bring that other one in, bring that down nice and slow, cinch it down tight, and that's not going to come off the reel. I mean, if you get down to if you get down there to the spool at that point, you're in trouble anyway. But yeah, I just use that double overhand, couple it off down tight to it. And then first couple of spools or first couple of turns, I'll do it by hand. I gotta tighten up that drag. These reels, these brand new reels, all come with the drags backed off. It's a great way to store reels. Back your drags off for the winter time. Anyway, so now I got it started. There's no way that's gonna slip. Start my line counter here. I know I'm going, what did I say, 225? I got the memory of nothing. Line counter's good. Now, I know not everybody has a spooling machine like this at home. Hey, I get that. I got to adjust this some. Not everybody has a spooling machine, so you can still do this at home, you know, with the smaller spools, you know, whatever you get, smaller spools, you know, even the smaller ones than that. Of course, I don't have any right here. But the big thing to remember, no matter what spool size you use, the line has to come off, you know, just like the spool was rolling down the road. Never, ever, 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 ever take it off the ends like that, because you will have a huge, huge tangled mess. All right, so let's put 225 yards on here and be happy about it. We got 225 yards of our back around here. I like these GoPros. I like the way these come out. I gotta learn to use these better. Anyway, we got 225 yards of back around here. I am going to be using standard lead core. There's two different kinds of lead core. Remember that. There's standard lead core, which is normal diameter, and there's micro lead core. And both fish very well. But there's two different knots that you have to use based on which lead core you're using. If you're using the standard lead core, you have to use a Willis knot to connect the monofilament to the lead core. If you're using micro lead core, you have to use a double-uni knot to connect the mono to the lead core. So I'm going to cut away from this. I'm going to show you both those knots right now. Okay, so I'm going to show you first the technique that you're going to use to attach micro lead to monofilament. Now, this is called a double-uni knot, and I've done this before in another video. Pretty simple to do. It's going to take you a few times on practicing it, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And like I always say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So this is micro lead to monofilament. Then, as the video goes on, I will show you how to attach standard lead to monofilament. But just remember, micro lead has to be a double-uni. Standard lead can either be a double-uni or a Willis knot. I prefer the Willis knot, but you could still do a double-uni. But micro lead always has to be a double-uni, and you'll see why as the video goes on. All right, first thing you got to do. So this micro lead core in itself, if you don't know what lead core is, it is a it's a Dacron sheathing or sheeting. I think it's sheathing. I don't know. I always argue with myself on that. But anyway, it's Dacron with a lead core inside of it. Sometimes these can be a little bit of a booger to get out, but you'll see here in just a second. As I pull that sheeting back, or sheathing, you'll see that lead become exposed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 8 inches or so of that lead core out of this. So one bit of advice I can give you on micro lead, especially when you're working with the Dacron part of it, start back here at the far away from the lead as you can. Just start working it back here, and then start pulling it back nice and slow. And I'll move my hand up to where the lead is. I'll come back and I'll work from as far away as I can. Otherwise, something about this micro lead, this Dacron, this stuff can get real finicky. And the lead can break off inside there, and then you got micro, just tiny pieces of lead inside there, and boy, it can be just a pain to get out. But I got a good 10 inches of lead exposed right now, so that's great. We'll start right there. Break that lead off, and you can see that that lead has no strength value whatsoever. It just breaks easy. All the strength is in that covering. But you can see why it's called lead core. It's a core of lead. Now when you're gonna move this back out, it's the same thing, opposite. Start away from the end, start back here, and just start working it out slowly until you get to where you need to be. And you can see that lead ends. You can see where that, where it goes limp. Insert another joke there. But you can see where that lead ends, and then you just have the sheeting for it, or sheathing. All right, so now we're going to attach this to our monofilament. Let me grab that. And again, this is a double uni knot. I haven't done one of these in probably a couple months, so God help me. But let's hope my hands still work. So what I'll do is I'll start with a good 4 or 5 inches on one side and a good 4 or 5 inches on the other side. Just going to lay them right across next to each other. All right. I'm going to find about the middle point. I'm going to start right there. I got my lead core first. Might even pull that out a little bit more. It does, as long as you don't get to where the lead is. As long as it's just empty Dacron, you're good to go. As long as you stay within about an inch away or so from where that lead starts, you're fine. And sometimes that helps. Just work these things a little. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a loop. I'm going to pinch that right there in my hand. So now basically I got the Dacron that's going to go around this mono. And I'm just going to start wrapping that up through the loop, around that mono, back down through the loop. And what I like to do is I just take my middle finger and my pointer finger, I'll grab it, I'll reach down through, grab it, reach down through. And you want to keep this stuff laying out nice and flat along itself. And I'll just keep moving my fingers up. And I'm going to go 7 or 8 wraps on this thing. Nice and slow. And then I'm just going to wet it with my mouth. And I'm going to tighten that side. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down, just semi-snug, okay? You can see that makes a nice little knot right there. Now, because I have a smart hand, or actually kind of a stupid hand, and a really stupid hand, I like to work with my semi-stupid hand. So I just turn this thing right around. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side with the mono. I'm going to make that loop. Come down through the loop with the mono, grab it with my middle finger. Now with the mono side, you only got to go 4 or 5 times. With the lead core side, 6 or 7 or more. It'd be my suggestion. And again, you want to make sure that lays out nice and flat along the line. One more should be sufficient. Wet it with your mouth or water or whatever. And you're going to semi-snug that down also. Okay, and the mono side never really likes to snug down as pretty as the Dacron side, but that's fine. All right, so now grabbing the main lines, not the tag ends, the main lines. Flip it back around so I'm back to the right way. Hold on a sec. There we go. On the outside of each knot, I'm going to grab the main lines, and I'm going to start bringing those nice and slowly towards each other. And it's a good idea, like I just did there, to wet down that middle part there in between the knots and draw it nice and slow. You don't want to heat these things up and let them get burned. As they get close together, just going to draw it in tight. Now if you want to tighten up the mono end, grab mono and mono. If you want to tighten up the lead core, grab lead core and lead core. But that is it right there. You've got yourself a really pretty, see if I get in the light here a little bit better, but a real pretty double uni knot. Super strong, and it will hold that micro lead very well. And then all you got to do is just trim off your tags, and you can trim it right down to the knot, or 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch away if you want, whatever you want. And you got yourself a double uni knot. Now, like I said, I like going, I'll tie the one side, and of course I'm going around this way. As if I flip it around, now I'm going the opposite direction. If you think about it, now I'm actually spinning that line around there in the opposite direction. And that, I think that does help the knot if they are spun in opposite directions. So if you do spin it around like that, it does work out that way. They do work in opposite directions. At least in my brain, it tells me if they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Anyway, that's it. Double uni knot, micro lead core to monofilament. All right, let's get back into the main video. Okay, so this is standard lead core. Now, I know some of you out there are probably asking, what pound test should I be using for my backer if it's monofilament? Now, if it's mono, I always use 30 pounds. I always go 30 pounds. Some guys, I've seen some guys go 20, 25, but I like the added peace of mind, I guess, of 30 pounds monofilament backer. If it's braid, yeah, I don't have any right here in front of me, but braid, my minimum is 50 pounds. Here's some right here, Power Pro 50 pound. That's my minimum for braid. I go 50 or 65, and either one does very, very well. So this is the Willis knot. This is standard lead core. So the way that we're going to do this knot, and I hope that this picks this up well on this camera, the first thing we got to understand about lead core is it's a Dacron sheeting that encompasses a lead interior, or a lead core, right there. The lead itself, you can see if I pull that Dacron back, that lead itself has no strength value. I can break that lead just like that. There's no strength value at all in that lead. All the strength lies in the Dacron sheeting. So we're going to pull that. I'm going to pull that back a ways. We're going to take, well, I usually take 6-7 inches if I can, or even more sometimes, of lead out of that sheeting, because I just want to work with the sheeting for this. So what do I got there? Oh, I got a good, I probably got 7 or 8 inches of lead coming out of there. I come back and I just lengthen back out my sheeting. What is it? Sheeting or sheathing? I don't know. But now you can see exactly where that lead ends, because the line is just limp. Insert joke there. All right, but you can see now that sheeting or sheathing or whatever, the Dacron itself is empty and more pliable. So what we have to do, and here's a couple tricks I'm going to show you for the mono. What we're going to do, first off, is we're going to cut that mono at an angle. So it's almost got like a point to it now. All right? Hold on. That's fine. I just tried to set that down and threw my pliers right in the trash. Hold on. All right. So anyway, that now is at a bit of an angle. It's going to help. You're going to see why here in just a second. Another thing I like to do is I like to take this mono and I'll actually rub it on something rough, like this cork right here, or even, look in here, a little bit of sandpaper right here. I'll try to get all the burrs off it, and like I said, it'll make more sense here in just a moment. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting yourself. All right, good. So my mono's ready. My lead core is ready. Next thing you have to do is somewhere up here where you took the lead out, you're going to make a single overhand knot. This knot, this Willis knot, it's not hard to do, but it can be fairly tricky. So I'm going to make a big overhand knot. I'm just going to let that sit. And actually, the bigger the better, because if that thing closes up on you, it's kind of a booger to get unclosed if it tightens up at all. All right. Now, most of you probably already guessed it, or you know this knot already. I'm going to take my mono, and I'm going to feed it into my lead core. And you can see having a good clean cut on your mono and your lead core is highly beneficial. All right, there we go. Now you're gonna feed that lead or that mono down into that lead core really as far as you can, all the way to that knot if you can. And this one's starting to bind up a little. Yeah, I'm only like maybe 1.5 inches in there, and it's already binding up. You can see we're having a really good clean cut on that mono comes in handy, but we'll work with this. Hey, this is true life. This happens. You know, these knots are, you know, if I just edited all these, you would say, oh man, that looks so easy. But I want you to understand that there's a little bit of you know, technical factor to this. You guys out there, guys, gals, if you guys got tips on how you do this, hey, have at it. But you can see I'm just kind of inchworming it down in there right now. I put my fingers right there where the mono is. I kind of pinch that and let that slide in there, and then scoot that Dacron back. So now I'm down in there, oh, probably 5 inches or so now. The more the better. I just find the more the better. Makes it easier to do. Oh, my mono actually popped out of that Dacron. Hold on a sec, gotta back it out. And that'll happen sometimes. Just back it out, keep going. It'll come right out the side of that Dacron sometimes. I can feel everybody out there fast forwarding the video right here at this point. I don't blame you. I probably would too. Anyway, okay, so there we go. So now, like I said, I probably got a good 5 inches of mono down in there. Now, the trickiest part, if that wasn't tricky enough, we're going to slide that single overhand knot over that mono. So I take my mono and I just kind of start working it around. But you want that knot to come out over that mono. I found, like I'm doing right here, I just bend the knot around, keep coming around on it until you eventually, you know where that mono ends. I can tell it's right there. I just keep working it around until that knot is over the mono. I simply tighten it up. It's like one of those finger traps. Once you have that, and I know my mono is there, I mean, I can tell, so I know that knot is over the mono, that thing is not gonna budge. That thing is strong. As strong, I'm gonna cut into my fingers before it comes loose. But that is the Willis knot, and I hope that the video quality was good enough to see on that thing. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's kind of a bulky knot. It's not small in any way. The double-uni knot, when you do micro lead, is much, much smaller. But this one works well for this application. Whoever came up with this, more power to you, because that's a clever knot. Okay. Okay, so we're in our first color of core here. I'm going to back this off. Now I know I got a machine here. I could just whip this thing through. But for my peace of mind, and because sometimes I get absent-minded, I like to count every single color in my head as this thing goes through. So I crank this by hand when I'm doing this part. So let's put 10 colors on. I know red is 1. There's 2. 8. This is 9. And this is 10, my last color. Okay, right there. So I know my last color is that peach. I like who's the maker of this? This is Woodstock. And this is decent lead core. It really is. There's more expensive lead core out there, but this stuff's pretty good. There's some lead core companies out there, I swear they do things to mess with you. They'll make like the one color will be yellow and the next one will be light yellow. And you go nuts trying to figure out, was that the same color or was that a different color? Or like blue to green or blue to purple. And you sit there and you scratch your head trying to think if you messed up, miscounted or whatnot. But yeah, I swear there's companies out there that do that on purpose. This Woodstock has pretty good vibrant colors. They change. You can tell the changes. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, let's set this down. We'll set her over here. All right, so now we get to do that Willis knot all over again. So we're gonna start here. We'll take that lead core out. If you want to fast forward past this, hey, you already know this, that's fine. If not, feel free to watch. Take about 7 inches of lead. Make sure that Dacron's nice and clean. And grab my leader material. There's dust on and stuff in here. This is that Suffix 25-pound smoke. I've been using this on my boat and Jim's boat. Really like this line. It's really a soft line. I mean, it's got a really nice feel to it. It's not, big game is brutal stuff. I mean, that stuff is tough. And look at the dust on here I know they've been working in here on stuff. But, big game's got a really tough feel to it. I mean, it's almost hard to bend. If you put a crink into it or a crimp into it, it'll actually stay there. This stuff's a little bit softer. I like this for leader. Nothing wrong with big game, though. I love big game. But I do like this stuff for leader. And you can see that reel, we filled that, what was that, like 87% or so capacity. I mean, we're right there. Once we get this leader on there, we're going to be right there where it needs to be. So now we're doing this a little bit backwards. The lead core's over on this side now instead of over there. But same thing. Put an overhand knot. Like I said, try to leave that open as much as you can. If it tightens up on you, it can be a real pain to get untied. Grab my leader. You can feel there's a little burr on there, so I'm going to snip that off at an angle again. It just gives it a little bit better. I'll rub this on my shirt. I'll rub it on my pants. Just on, or even my fingernails, just to get those little burrs off there. It's the burrs that catch on that Dacron on the lead core. I might even get that paper out again. There. See if that helps. Yeah, that feels smoother. Now, I was showing this on other knots I do. I got a smart hand and a really stupid hand. Smart hand it's still not that smart, but it's better than the stupid hand. So if you're better with one hand than the other, see right there, that knot almost closed down on me because it caught on something and started to close. So now I got to open it back up. But what I'm trying to say is if one hand is smarter than the other, try to do your tying with that smart hand. For me, like switching around on uni knots, things like that, really works better for me. So I'm going to hold this actually in my left hand, my stupider hand, get my somewhat stupid hand to actually feed this down in. There we go. Yeah, this one's going a little bit easier. There's a lot of jokes could be made over some of the comments on this video, I know that. Okay, so I got about, I'll get a little more there. That one fit in much, much easier. So again, I got about 5 inches of mono in there. This is where it helps to get that knot out. Just a little bit bigger. I'm just going to feed that around. Once you get through that loop, you're good to go. You're home free. Right there. Tighten that up. So now I know my mono is up here. I can see it. And I know that knot is over the mono. And that thing is strong. Strong, strong, strong. Beautiful. Get this unwrapped. All right, so 15 yards of leader going on. And I usually just hand spool my leader on also. "15 yards or so, 15 and a half. You can see, I mean, that reel is right up to capacity. So that calculator works pretty darn good. Let's go get a rod to put this thing on. Let's take a walk. Hopefully we got some in stock. Dark back here. Nobody's here right now. This is evening. Everybody's home except me. Let's see what we got. Looking for the Okuma CLR rods right here. We got them in shop here. What do we got at price tag on these things? I'm not even sure. Let me look. Well, let's take it back out there and figure it out. Right there. $39.99. 40 bucks. That's a good rod. I like these rods. This is about all I have on the boat for my copper and lead core. I think I might have one or two other kinds, but they're all Okuma. Yeah, this Okuma just, man, they really changed their game a few years ago. They started listening to a lot of the charter guys and, well, what we wanted out there and what was working and what was not working. And I mean, they just make it easy. Classic Pro GLT, they're right on here. Copper, lead core. I mean, you know what this thing's made for. It's got the really nice triangle grip on it. You know, it's not round. I like that triangle grip. And what's the length? I think they're 8.5s. Yep, 8.6 mediums. 12 to 27 pound line. And the stainless steel eyelets on these things are fantastic. Just fantastic. Anyway, let's put that reel on this rod, and then I'm going to show you how to tie a Palomar knot on that leader. And one thing I'll always mention is if you're doing this thing, if you're spooling these reels up and you're going to open your bail rather, always try to remember to have the clicker on, because if you don't have that clicker on, like right now, and I open that thing, the thing starts free spooling, you can get bird's nest pretty darn easy. Make sure I'm back online here. So I always recommend whenever you're going to open that bail, have your clicker on. It's going to help you. I've done that. Ask me how I know that. Ask me how I figured that out. I have had these things absolutely come bird's nesting like crazy out on me. Because I forgot to put the clickers on. I've had people ask me before, do I also put the mounting hardware on here? You know, the bracket that goes on the bottom. I do for my diver rods. Everything else I typically don't. And I don't have any problems with that. But if you want to put those on there, excuse me, these Akuma reels do come with that hardware. You know, it's just that bracket that goes on the bottom here into those holes. Make sure I'm in focus. Just into those holes, and it holds that onto the rod. And like I said, some people do. I just don't. Except for my diver rods, because I know that the pressure that those rods take. All right. Get this put together. This is the actual rod that's going onto the giveaway also. So whoever wins this can go back and see exactly how it was made. Try not to ever miss eyelets. I do it all the time. I have people come on the boat and they're like, hey, you missed an eyelet. And all I can do is laugh about it. I had one or two last year. One I noticed early in the season on a downrigger rod, and that rod was just catching fish like crazy, so I never changed it. I considered it good luck. Then my buddy Jim came on there, I think it was Jim, and he fixed it for me. It still caught fish. Oop. Let's find a good spot for this here. All right, let's put a Palomar knot on this thing. I'm going to show you this Palomar knot. This knot is so easy and so strong. Let's see if I got swivels down here. My junk drawer. Everybody has a junk drawer, don't they? I got one at home. There's a big swivel. Yeah, we might use that just to hold it there. And whoever wins this can change that later. That's not a bad idea. Might be easier to show that knot with a big swivel, actually. Oh, there might be a small one down here, though. But I'm not seeing one. What the heck? Good Lord almighty. The stuff that gets put in this drawer. Okay, let's use that big one. All right, Palomar knot. Really easy. Make sure you got enough line, first and foremost. I usually grab, here's the end. You get under the light. Here's the end. I usually go up about, oh, what is that? That's a good half, no, that's probably 7 or 8 inches. If I got the line, I give myself more than enough. I would rather have more than too little. So I'm gonna pinch that line right there. I'm gonna make a bend in it. So now that line is bent. You know what? Hold on just a second. Seeing if I had something to put behind this so you could see it a little bit better. This might work. Okay, so the line is bent. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to put that bend through my swivel. All right? Pull it up. So now I have, essentially 2 lines through there. It's just doubled back on itself. I'm going to tie an overhand knot. I'm going to reach through, grab that. So now I have an overhand knot. And there's my loop still. There's my bend. Now here's what I do, and it's always been a little bit faster for me. I just reach through the loop. I grab my swivel. And of course my hands go dumb. Grab my swivel, and then I'm going to pull it tight. Okay? And it's always a good idea to pop that in your mouth, get it a little bit wet, or pop it in the water or whatnot before you tighten these things down. So hold on. Nice and tight. And that knot is super, super strong. Not going anywhere. You know what? Let's do it a second time. Where's my cutting tool? There you are. We're not going to lose very much line, so it's not that big a deal. Let's do it a second time, though, so everybody can see it. Okay, where'd my line go? Okay. So I'm going to do this one more at regular speed, so you can see if you do it a few times, you can get pretty fast at it, and God, I hope I don't screw it up. But here we go. Bend it over 7 or 8 inches. Make your bend. Bend through the swivel. Tie an overhand knot. Reach back through the overhand knot. Grab your swivel. Wetting it up. Tighten it down. Well, that take 6-7 seconds, something like that. And these are super strong. I love these knots. You can trim that tag in way down. You ever trim the wrong end? I've done that. Trim the main line instead of the tag in. I've done it. You can trim that all the way down the knot, and that thing is that strong. Okay, that's it. That thing is made, put together. That's the giveaway 10 color. I hope everybody got something out of this. It's not hard to do, like I said. If you if you can watch this video, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I guarantee that. And you'll like the results. It'll save you a little bit of money also in doing it on your own. But like I always tell everybody, if you're not comfortable doing your own lines, rods, reels, whatnot, we'll do them right here for you at the shop. We're happy to do that. We can make anything, any custom, any copper, any lead core, any diver, anything that you want, and we can ship it out to you. Oh, there we go. That rod and reel is ready to go. And I want to say thank you for everybody for watching this. Thanks for any thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing if you haven't already. And make sure to check out our Sunday live fishing report videos every Sunday, 7 p.m. right here on this channel. All right, thanks everybody. Take care. Be safe no matter what you're doing. All right, we'll see you.